Today I just want to show you this really fun, super awesome free tool that the Professional Photographers of America have on their website. I feel like not enough people know about PPA, but PPA is an invaluable resource for photographers, and I'm just going to show you how to use their Square One tool. So the Square One tool, what this does is it helps you build a sustainable and logical business with real figures. And the hard part about it for someone just starting is you actually have to use realistic figures in this tool. But once you've done, a handful of seasons even of being a photographer, you should be able to run your numbers pretty quickly and pretty easily. I still do this every single year at the end of the year to give myself financial goals for the upcoming season. I'm going to show you how to use this tool and some best practices and give you some realistic numbers. What I love about this is it works backwards. So this is saying, what do you want your net income to be? Your net income is what is your pay? What pay do you want to bring home? So let's say you want to bring home $50,000 a year. So now you just click on the buttons of which type of photography do you offer. So for me, I am a wedding photographer. I also offer portraits. Under my portraits, I offer seniors and maternity. So personally, I feel like these are all in the same, but whatever. And then I'm going to put executive down, even though that's really one gig that I do every year that brings in a certain amount of money. Everything else, like commercial portraits, would just be under general portraits. I know my average sale, so I'm going to put in my average sale. If you don't know your average sale yet and you're just starting, especially if you're just giving out files or something. Actually, if you're giving out digital files as part of all your packages, your average sale is not going to change because you don't have any room for any upselling if you give out files. If you're charging $200 for a family portrait, then your average sale is $200 because that's all you're going to get if you give out files. I'm putting my average sale because I know what those are generally. And then this is an easy question. Are you home-based or do you have an actual studio space? Because your profit depends on whether you work from home or not. So I work from home, so I'm home-based. I'm going to put in my average sale. I do mostly weddings and a couple portraits and one commercial job. And I want to take home 50 grand this year. I'm going to hit next. And now I'm going to put in my average sale. So my average sales are a little higher than maybe what yours are, but I'm going to put in $6,500 for a wedding. And you can see what's interesting about this is it's showing me that I'm not even on the high end. That might shock somebody who's watching this video that I get $6,500 for a wedding, but that's just my average sale. I have ones that are less and I have some that are more. But at the same time, what's interesting is here, there's so much room to grow. Portraits, I'm taking home an average sale of $2,500. And you can see here that that's on the very low end, which is amazing. If you're watching this and you're only bringing in $200 for a portrait session and you give out the files, then look at how much room you have to grow by doing it that way. Seniors are hit and miss as far as extra stuff that they want to buy. So I'll be very conservative on this and put $800 as an average sale. I think my seniors are probably more around $1,250. And my portraits are more around $3,500, but I'm going to be very conservative with those figures. Maternity and newborn is a whole other beast because you go with a client that is going down to one income, and they have a lot of expenses of having a baby, so the sale on that is not as much generally. So I'm going to be very conservative and go for $600, even though they're all the same amount of work. So I always try to get my seniors and my maternities to actually spend closer to $2,500 if I can. And then executive, this is where I'm going to put in my one big commercial account, and I'm going to say $5,000 on that. And even if it was headshots, I still could, if it's headshots for a company or if it's stock photography or licensing fees, $5,000 is still pretty appropriate for any commercial job. So I think that's fine. So I'll put next, and then let's see. This is what's the best part of this tool, is it actually tells me all the math I need to know in order to take home 50 grand. This is what I told the system I wanted to do. If I want to take home $50,000 in my pay, I have to gross $111,000. That's gross sales. That's how much money I need to bring in to my business in order to take home $50,000 a year. These things are immovable. Deduct cost of sales. Cost of sales, and this again is what's great about the benchmark survey and PPA, is they're telling you that your cost of sales needs to be 25% and your general expenses needs to be around 30%. It does let you change this, and if you have a home studio, you would have a little bit different numbers in here. You know, sometimes, especially when you're starting, you might have higher cost of sales, but you see how you can play with those numbers? interesting there. And so that's great. You know, if I have a more profitable year, I can take home more money. Okay? Then the other thing you can play with is you can change your average sale. You can change how many sessions you have. So this one it just sort of pre-populated it for me. And it's saying that, you know, and this makes sense. You could do more seniors and do more families during the week than you can do a wedding. So it makes sense the way that it broke it up. However, I'm mostly a wedding photographer, so I'm gonna say that I'm gonna do 12 weddings this year, and I'm still gonna try to bring in $6,500 as an average sale. So I'll have a couple that are lower, I'll have a couple that are higher. If you wanna be conservative, I would say conservatively, $5,500 is very easy to get. Like if you're doing a wedding with an album, and maybe digital files, $5,500, very average. So you can see that all I need to do is 12 sessions and I bring in that much gross sales. So general portraits here, I'm gonna change these a little bit just because I don't do a lot of seniors. I prefer to do a lot of weddings and seniors want to be done during the fall. So I'm gonna change this actually to like 5. I mean, realistically, I usually do 1 to 5 a year. And so if I only do 1, then I need a higher average sale. If I only do 2, I need a higher average sale. But here's maternity, same thing. I don't do a ton of weddings every year, so my maternity is basically based off of my weddings that I do. So I'm going to be very conservative with that number also. But here you can see though that when I change these numbers, then this is also how you get an idea of like, well, maybe I need to push the newborn side. Maybe I need to do a senior push. If I can get 10 seniors or 15 seniors instead, then it affects my bottom line. So here I'll add 10 seniors. So you see that if I add 10 seniors, I can make $6,000 more money as income. It's pretty cool. And then my executive client, I have one big commercial job a year that does bring in $5,000. And then maybe I'll do some headshots and consulting. So I think I'll put that at 3 actually. And you can see here, you see that change? If I only do 2 commercial headshots and I hit all these other numbers, then I'm not bringing in exactly the right amount of money. So that's kind of cool. So if I go back up to 3, so now I know my goal is I felt comfortable with 2. Well, guess what? It shouldn't be that much harder to get one more business client at $5,000. And that could be a mentoring client. I do mentor a lot of photographers. So obviously I could do that. I could also do a workshop and try to sell $5,000 of the workshop. So you can like think about this however you need to. And then realistically my cost of sales is 25%. And so there you go. That's the whole point of this tool is I need 12 weddings at an average of $5,500. I need 9 portraits at an average of $2,500. Those will both be easy to hit. So if I do 10 seniors at $800, 5 maternities, so I'll need to like push that a little bit more than normal. And then commercial work, maybe I'll do 1 more consulting or mentoring gig to hit that. And those are all very conservative. That's very easy to hit these numbers once you've been in the business for a little while. And then I know my cost of sales is definitely less than 25%, so that's great. Actually, I know mine's usually like 23%. And then my general expenses are, let me go up a little bit and say they're a little higher. And so that shows that I should be able to bring home in profit and net income $51,000. So you can do this yourself. It's super easy. It's so awesome. Like I said, I do this every year, and then I actually export it and I tape it at my workstation so that I can see. And if I haven't been doing this, I remember, oh, that's why I don't have any money right now, or you know, how far am I in session numbers. The cool thing is like, let's say I brought in $1,200 for each senior, which would be pretty easy to do. Well, then I could get away with 8 seniors if I really wanted to, or 7. And still bring in 50. But you know, I say go higher and shoot for the stars and try to get more. All you have to do is a little bit more social media on one genre and you'll generally get it. And then with the average sale, same sort of situation. So then I just export this and I keep it, like I said, as my goal for the year. Keeps me on track. And that's cool. So here, let's start over and I'll just do one for you. So let's say you're a newer photographer and you're just starting out. And let's say you just want extra money, like $15,000 extra income this year for, you know, vacation, retirement, maybe your kid needs braces or something like that. So we're gonna do wedding and we'll do general portrait and we'll do senior and maternity. And so we'll keep it pretty simple. Those are pretty normal. I think a lot of people when they're starting are doing these sorts of sessions. And let's say, we'll go by number of sessions for you because you might not have an average sale yet. And we'll say you're home-based because you're just starting. So we'll hit next. And let's say you're just starting, so you're probably only doing 3 weddings, but maybe you're doing a lot more portraits. Let's say you're really, really busy. You're always shooting at least once a week because you've got a lot of, like again, if you're a mom and you've got a good social network, you might be doing more than that. But when you put in 1 a week, think about the fact that you're gonna have slow months, you're gonna have the winter, you're gonna have the holidays, which are a lot busier. So you wanna look at your average annually. For me, I live in Rochester, New York, which snows a lot. So there's nothing really going on in late December to May, so there's a huge amount of months. So I would have to do 2 a week or 3 a week in the busier months to hit this 52 goal. I think I'll just assume anybody watching this video is starting out and they're probably too cheap. So I'll put 100. Like, let's say you can do 100 portraits. And let's say on top of general family portraits, you're doing 15 seniors and 5 newborns. I don't know. You can let me know if these are totally off base for you. And so this runs the numbers. If you want to take home $15,000 and you're doing that many sessions, then your average sale for your weddings needs to be $2,700. Your average sale for portraits, see how that's wrong already? $83, that's crazy. But then maternity is, so I would flip these. Like $1,600 for maternity is a lot harder to get because you're down, moms are down to 1 income. But family portraits, for sure you could hit that. Let's just put this at 600. And I'm gonna be very conservative here for you because you're newer and you're not probably as good at selling as I am. And then this one, I'm going to put it at 2,500 because that's sort of a normal spot for weddings. Honestly, like there's the under 1,000 crowd, which is people who are doing it basically for free. Then once you stop doing it you go up to maybe 1,800. And then after that, when you're getting really serious, you start doing them for 2,500. And then you get where I am and you have to start at 3,000. 3,500, somewhere in there. And then with albums and everything else, we're selling them for $5,000 once we're established. But if you're a newer photographer, $2,500 for a wedding is appropriate. Portraits, if you're doing 100 portraits, I think $600 is really easy to hit. If you photograph the session for $250 or $300, and then you do, $300 in product, I think that's very conservative. Seniors, let's say it's $600 also for the same reason. You do the session, yearbook photo, maybe 1 canvas, and a handful of prints, and you're good. And then maternity, so this is where, if you leave the maternity at $1,600, you're actually taking home $40,000. So this is the power of knowing your numbers. I mean, that's a huge difference. That's triple. This just shows you right here. I was being extremely conservative with these average sales. But I'm going to put this one, I'm going to put all these portraits at 600 because I'm going to assume you're not as good at selling. I'm also going to assume you're giving out the files in some way or another. But look at that. It's still $35,000. So to bring in $15,000 is what we set as our goal. But actually with these numbers, it has us bringing in $36,000 in income. But that means your total gross sales needs to be $80,000. And that's the power of giving out the digital files or shooting. So if you're shooting, 100 seniors a year, then this is how you do the math on what you need as an average sale. So this is the power of a free tool like this. I hope this helps, and have fun doing it. The key is you have to sit down and think about realistically how many sessions can you realistically do, and what average sale are you normally getting, and where can you bump up your average sale, that sort of stuff. Maybe you just pick up 1 or 2 extra weddings, or maybe you do a bigger push and you do some mini sessions. So have fun with that and let me know what your numbers are. I'd love to see them. And again, if you just want to know where to find this, it's ppa.com/client-apps/Square One, or you can just Google PPA income tool and you'll find it. And if you're not a member of PPA, I highly recommend it. This is not a sponsored post. I've been a member since I started, and I just can't recommend it enough. The biggest thing about PPA, even though it does have a $300 annual fee, is it includes some insurances. I get my liability insurance for half the price. I get gear insurance. And also these people are fighting a good fight with copyright at the national level. So it's definitely worth joining PPA. And they also have a ton of professional development stuff, like a forum and classes and webinars and things like that. So you wouldn't even need to buy a webinar like mine. You could just actually join PPA, get all those benefits. And that's it. Enjoy your Square One tool. Hit me up and let me know how it came out for you. And if you got a big epiphany out of average sale versus sessions, I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching.